Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th chapter, about the pastime of Krishna killing Trinavarta.
This is the way of human society. Killing the cows and spoiling the land will not solve the problem of food. This is not civilization. Uncivilized men living in the jungle and being unqualified to produce food by agriculture and cow protection may eat animals, but a perfect human society advanced in knowledge must learn how to produce first-class food simply by agriculture and production of cows. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.13 to 15 purport.
Out of the 8,400,000 species of life, there are 400,000 human species. But not all of these human species are civilized. Civilized means following Dharma, some type of Dharma. So the uncivilized humans, a lot of them, they're not able to engage in agriculture and cow protection because they live in the jungles. And in the jungles there's no flat land, and cows would be killed by the wild animals. So they're forced to hunt. They hunt and they gather. They gather what they can from the forest, from the jungle, and they also hunt the other animals and birds, reptiles that live in the jungle, and they eat those things. So this is uncivilized life. And when one becomes civilized, they start to follow the Vedic principles. And next, Narada Muni, he explains who these uncivilized human beings are.
Uncivilized tribes like the Pulindas, Aborigines, and the Savaras, mountain people, etc. Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulaksa, Abhirta, Shumbha, Yavana, members of the Khasa races, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Due to His being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto Him. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.18.
So we're in the middle of a purport here where Prabhupada is describing that for human beings, civilized human beings, cow protection and agriculture are essential if we want to be considered civilized. So the Pulindas, the Aborigines, these Aborigines and the cavemen and the uncivilized people, it's described that they're leftovers from the previous Kali Yuga. And then the Shabaras, the mountain people. So these people, they don't engage in those two activities of agriculture and cow protection. The Kirata, Hun, etc., they're spread all over the world, the earthly planet. For instance, the Yavanas, those are the Turks. The Huns, that's between Germany and Poland, between Germany and Russia, that's the country of Poland around there. So all of these different races who are addicted to sinful acts, even they can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, but then they have to engage in purified activities once they take shelter.
Nanda Maharaja, for the sake of the affluence of his own son Krishna, gave the Brahmanas cows fully decorated with garments, flower, garlands, and gold necklaces. These cows, fully qualified to give ample milk, were given to the Brahmins in charity, and the Brahmanas accepted them and bestowed blessings upon the whole family, and especially upon Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.16. Purport. The purport. Narad Maharaja first fed the Brahmanas sumptuously and then gave them in charity first-class cows fully decorated with golden necklaces, garments, and flower garlands.
Now this is the second ceremony that Nanda Maharaj is celebrating. This is after Krishna killed the Shakatasura demon. So in order to get blessings from the Brahmins, he's again distributing charity. The first time was for the Uttana ceremony, when Krishna turned over. And then the second time now, after Krishna was placed under a cart, and with his little foot he killed the Shakatasura demon that had taken shelter within that cart. So now again he's performing yajna with the Brahmins, and then feeding the Brahmins very sumptuously and giving them cows in charity.
The Brahmanas, who were completely expert in chanting the Vedic hymns, were all yogis fully equipped with mystic powers. Whatever blessings they spoke were certainly never fruitless. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.17. Purport. Brahmanas fully equipped with the Brahmanical qualifications are always yogis fully powerful in mystic yoga. Their words never fail. In every translation with other members of society, Brahmanas are certainly dependable. In this age, however, one must take into account that the Brahmanas are uncertain in their qualifications, because there are no yaginic Brahmanas. All yajnas are forbidden.
Yes. So we discussed this point yesterday, because this same principle was given in the Krishna book by Srila Prabhupada, that in Kali Yuga, because the Brahmins are not necessarily qualified with all the Brahminical qualities such as Samadama, Titikshava, Daya. Therefore, yajnas are not to be performed in Kali Yuga. But the principal yajna of Kali Yuga is Sankirtan yajna. So that yajna is not forbidden. Plus, the sanskaras for human society should never be given up, beginning with Garbhadan sanskara. Then there's Vivaha. Vivaha is for all the 4 classes. Then after the child is born, there's so many sanskaras within the lifetime of a human being. So the Brahmins are called at that time for performing these sanskaras. Now, the Brahmins in Braja, they had special qualities, being pure devotees of the Lord, and therefore Nanda Maharaj called those Brahmins when he was having this ceremony.
The only yajna recommended in this age is Sankirtan yajna. Yajna Sankirtana Prayar Yajnatiya Sundasha, Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. Yajna is meant to satisfy Vishnu. Yajnarthat Krishnano Mayatra Loko Yam Karama Bandhana. Bhagavad-Gita 3.9. Because in this age there are no qualified Brahmanas, people should perform yajna by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yajna Sankirtana Prayar Yajnantihi Shumadhesha. Life is meant for yajna, and yajna is performed by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.17 purport.
So though many different types of yajnas are recommended in the Vedas, in this Kali Yuga, those yajnas, because the Brahmins are not qualified to execute them, Kali Yuga, the one yajna recommended is this chanting of Hare Krishna. And that's why Lord Chaitanya predicted that his name would be heard in all the towns and villages of the world. And now that prediction is being fulfilled by Srila Prabhupada's endeavors to fulfill his spiritual master's instructions. The chanting of Hare Krishna is being heard in all the continents of the world.
One day, shortly after this ceremony, when Mother Yashoda was patting her baby on her lap, the baby felt too heavy, and being unable to carry him, she unwillingly placed him on the ground. After a while, she became engaged in household affairs. At that time, one of the servants of Kamsa known as Tranvarta, as instructed by Kamsa, appeared there in the shape of a whirlwind. He picked the child up. Whirlwind. He picked the child up on his shoulders and raised a great storm all over Vrindavan. Because of this, everyone's eyes became covered within a few moments, and the whole area of Vrindavan became densely dark, so that no one could see himself or anyone else. During this great catastrophe, Mother Yashoda could not see her baby, who was taken away by the whirlwind, and she began to cry very piteously. Krishna book, chapter 7.
There are some English words that you're not able to read, and people are listening on the radio. So I'm going to. Prabhu's not here today. He didn't even come. He left? Where did he leave? That's okay. All right. So now this Leela is beginning. Mother Yasoda, just like any mother does with her baby, she was holding him in her arms, and sometimes you lift the baby up and you throw him in the sky a little bit, and then you catch him in your arms, and the baby enjoys it very much, and the mother also enjoys it. So she was doing that, lifting him up and then catching him, but then all of a sudden, because Krishna understood that Trinavarta was coming, and he knew that if his mother was going to be holding him, Trinavarta wouldn't be able to pick him up. So he became very, very heavy. And that's because Krishna, he's Yogeshwar. And Yogeshwar means that whatever the mystic siddhis are, the yogic siddhis are, they all come from him. So he has them in perfection. So there's one siddhi called Mahima, and that's becoming heavy. So he became very, very heavy, and all of a sudden Mother Yasoda couldn't pick him up anymore. So she had to put him on the ground, and then she ran to get the Brahmins again because she couldn't understand how her son had become so heavy. So she thought again, some demon must have entered in, or some inauspicious planet had caused this. So she went to call the Brahmins, and then she came back and was busy in her household affairs while Trinavarta arrived.
One day, a year after Krishna's appearance, Mother Yashoda was patting her son on her lap, but suddenly she felt the child to be heavier than a mountain peak, and she could no longer beat his weight. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.18. Lalayanti, sometimes a mother lifts her child, and when the child falls on her hands, the child laughs, and the mother also enjoys pleasure. Yashoda used to do this, but this time Krishna became very heavy, and she could not beat his weight. Under these circumstances, this is to be understood that Krishna was aware of the coming of Trinvartasura, who would take him far away from his mother. Purport Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.18.
Now Trinavarta had been sent specifically by Kamsa, and as we've learned, all of the demons represent a particular quality that we should pray to the Lord to remove from our heart. So this Trinavarta whirlwind demon, he is the personification of argument. When we argue against the Shastras and we create a disturbance with different types of philosophical speculations, then that's represented by the Trinavarta demon. So until the Trinavarta demon is killed, and until this tendency to argue against the Shastras is eradicated from our heart, there's no way that we can understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's the importance of hearing this specific Leela of the Trinavarta being killed.
Krishna knew that when Trinavarta came and took him away from his mother's lap, Mother Yashoda would be greatly bereaved. He did not want his mother to suffer any difficulty from the demon. Therefore, because he is the source of everything, Janmadyasya Yataha, Bhagavatam 111, he assumed the heaviness of the entire universe. The child was on the lap of Yashoda, who was therefore in possession of everything in the world. But when the child assumed such heaviness, she had to put him down in order to give Trinavarta Sura an opportunity to take him away and play with him for some time before the child returned to the lap of his mother. Purport, Bhagavatam 10, 17, 18. Do you want me to say the number or not necessarily?
Yeah, you say the number also. But speak very clearly because people are listening on the radio, they don't all see this, okay? Thank you. So Krishna, whatever Krishna does, he fulfills many purposes. One purpose was he wanted to enjoy a fly in the sky. So he knew Trinavarta was coming in the form of a whirlwind, and he wanted to have that adventure, playing with Trinavarta in the sky, because Trinavarta took him very, very high with the intention of dropping him down. But then Krishna wouldn't let go of him, and just as he became so very heavy that his mother had to put him down, after Trinavarta picked him up, again he became so heavy, and he grabbed onto Trinavarta's neck, so that Trinavarta crashed to the ground, and that's how Krishna was able to kill him.
Feeling the child to be as heavy as the entire universe, and therefore being anxious, thinking that perhaps the child was being attacked by some other ghost or demon, the astonished Mother Yashoda put the child down on the ground and began to think of Narayan. Foreseeing disturbances, she called for the brahmanas to counteract this heaviness, and then she engaged her in her other household affairs. She had no alternative than to remember the lotus feet of Narayan, for she could not understand that Krishna was the original source of everything. Bhagavatam 10, 7, 19.
So Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, being pure devotees of the Lord, they worshipped the Lord in order to receive Krishna as their son even. They were always taking shelter of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And due to the effect of Yoga Maya, they couldn't understand that their little child Krishna was actually Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Avatara Avatari. He was the cause of all of the Vishnu avatars. They just took him to be their little child. And because they knew the Kamsa was sending demons all over Braj, looking for the son of Devaki, and killing all of the children that had been born. Now he was 1 year old, but still they were killing the children. So she was very concerned that something again would happen. Now already Putana had been killed, Shakatasura had been killed, and these were amazing events in the life of a little newborn child, six-day-old child, 3-month-old child, and now at 1 year old, again, something absolutely, something that Mother Yashoda couldn't understand was happening, that he had become so heavy. So again she became very worried, and that's why she called the Brahmins.
Mother Yashoda did not understand that Krishna is the heaviest of all heavy things, and Krishna rests within everything. Matstani sarve bhutani, as confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita 9.4, Maya tatamitam sarvam jagad avyaktam murtina. Krishna is everywhere in his impersonal form, and everything rests upon him. Nonetheless, nachaham tveshavastita, Krishna is not everywhere. Mother Yashoda was unable to understand this philosophy because she was dealing with Krishna as his real mother by the arrangement of Yoga Maya. Not understanding the importance of Krishna, She could only seek shelter of Narayan for Krishna's safety and call the Brahmanas to counteract the situation. Purport Bhagavatam 10:7-19.
So, in the early chapters, we were trying to understand the mentality of Vasudeva and Devaki. Because from the moment of Krishna's appearance, they knew that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he appeared in the Vishnu form. And he appeared in that form to let them know that he was actually their worshipable Lord. But just the opposite occurred when he came to Braj. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda had no idea that their little child Krishna was that same Supreme Lord who they worshipped, Narayan or Vishnu. So therefore, whenever anything happened, they took shelter of Narayan because Krishna wanted to enjoy that Vatsalya Ras with Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. And that Vatsalya Ras would have been stifled if they understood that he was the Supreme Lord. So by the influence of Yogamaya, he remained as a small child for them both to display his childhood pastimes with them.
While the child was sitting on the ground, a demon named Trinavarta, who was a servant of Kamsa, came there as a whirlwind at Kamsa's instigation and very easily carried the child away into the air. Bhagavatam 7:20. Purport. Krishna's heaviness was unbearable for the child's mother, but when Trinavartasura came, he immediately carried the child away. This was another demonstration of Krishna's inconceivable energy. When the Trinavarta demon came, Krishna became lighter than the grass, so the demon could carry him away. This was Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, Krishna's blissful transcendental pleasure.
So Krishna was looking forward to this fly in the sky. Now, Trinavarta, he was sent by Kamsa. He was also a good friend of Narakasura. Many of the demons came from that side of India, where Narakasura lived, which is now present-day Guwahati. So, originally, Trinavarta, in his previous life, he was a devotee of Krishna, a devotee of Vishnu, and he was a great king of Pandudesh, and his name was Sahasraksha. But one day, while he was enjoying with many women, as a king often does, Durvasa Muni happened to come to his palace, and he failed to offer him proper respect. So Durvasa Muni cursed him to become a demon. But because he was a devotee of the Lord, he immediately fell at the feet of Durvasa Muni and begged for his mercy. So Durvasa Muni told him that you will be freed when Lord Krishna himself kills you. So Lord Krishna, again, to fulfill this blessing given by Durvasa Muni, previously it was Lomasa Rishi, who had given the blessing to Shakatasura, and with Putana, it was Krishna himself who had blessed her, because she first wanted to have him as a son, and then she wanted to kill him, being the sister of Bali Maharaj. So with Trinavarta, to fulfill that blessing of Durvasa Muni, he first wanted to enjoy this nice sky ride with Trinavarta, therefore he became lighter than grass. That's another one of the mystic opulences, the mystic siddhis of Yogeshwar Shri Krishna, so that they could go very high in the sky. And Trinavarta, his intention was to kill Krishna, but naturally Krishna killed Trinavarta.
Covering the whole land of Gokul with particles of dust, that demon, acting as a strong whirlwind, covered everyone's vision and began vibrating everywhere with a greatly fearful sound. Bhagavatam 10:7-20. Purport. Trinavartasura assumed the form of a whirlwind and covered with a dust storm the whole tract of land known as Gokul. No one could see even the nearest thing.
So here in India and in different parts of the world, we have what's called cyclones, they're called tufans, they're called hurricanes. It depends which country you live in, they have different names. So cyclones are so tremendously dangerous for the environment, whole cities can be destroyed. So this Trinavarta, in the form of a very powerful whirlwind, he came to Gokul and he made everything so dark that people couldn't even see themselves because of the dust that was flying. They had to keep their eyes closed. And it was in this condition that Mother Yasoda had to put Krishna down on the ground. And then, when the dust storm started, she went to pick him up again and she couldn't find him. So she was in so much anxiety, she was crying. She fell to the ground unconscious. And she was compared to a cow who has lost her calf. Now, a cow, if the calf by chance dies, the cow becomes so distraught that she stops giving milk. So therefore the calf is kept right near the mother, and then the mother is very happy when the baby is first born. Now in the West, where the demoniac culture is, what they do is, as soon as the calf is born, they don't even let the mother see the calf, because of course the calf is being born from the backside of the cow. They immediately take the calf away and separate the calf from the mother, because they know that if by chance that calf dies, the mother will stop giving milk. And the reason they have the cow is for economic reasons, so they can get as much milk as possible to make as much money as possible. So this is demoniac. The proper thing is to let the calf stay with the mother, and for a certain number of days, there's a special type of milk that's only meant for the calf. The calf can drink as much as it wants. And then after that, morning and evening, the calf is given milk from the mother. Now, by Krishna's arrangement, you see a cow has in her udder she has 4 nipples. So 1 nipple is given to the calf, and the other 3 nipples, that's used for the milk distribution.
For a moment, the whole pasturing ground was overcast with dense darkness from the dust storm, and Mother Yashoda was unable to find her son where she had placed him. Because of the bits of sand thrown about by Trinavarta, people could not see themselves or anyone else, and thus they were illusioned and disturbed. Because of the dust storm stirred up by the strong whirlwind, Mother Yashoda could find no trace of her son, nor could she understand why. Thus she fell down on the ground like a cow who had lost her calf and began to lament very pitifully. Bhagavatam 10:7-22 through 24.
So naturally, Mother Yasoda was in her house with her child, and Mother Yasoda had maid servants, other gopis were there. But when they heard Mother Yasoda crying bitterly, wailing, "Where's my son? Where's my son?" they all came running. And they couldn't understand why Mother Yasoda had put the baby down. Mother Yasoda had put the baby down because the baby had become so heavy with that Mahima, Siddhi. But they didn't know that. So they were thinking, why in the world would a mother put their baby down when there's such a big storm going on? She couldn't explain, she was crying. And the other gopis, just seeing her cry, they also started to cry. And in the meantime, Krishna was enjoying himself with Trinavarta.
She fell down on the ground exactly like a cow who had just lost her calf. When Mother Yashoda was so piteously crying, all the cowherd women immediately came and began to look for the baby, but they were disappointed and could not find him. The Trinavarta demon who took baby Krishna on his shoulder went high in the sky, but the baby assumed such a weight that suddenly he could not go any further, and he had to stop his whirlwind activities. Baby Krishna made himself heavy and began to weigh down the demon. The Lord caught hold of his neck. That's from Krishna book, chapter 7.
So now we'll begin to hear how Krishna destroys these false arguments against the scriptures. What did he grab onto? The demon's neck. And when he grabbed onto the demon's neck, he couldn't utter a word, he couldn't say anything, he couldn't make any noise, and all of his whirlwind activities, and these whirlwinds are the philosophical arguments, they all came to an end immediately, because whatever so-called mystic opulence he had were finished just by Krishna grabbing onto his neck.
When the force of the dust storm and the wind subsided, Yashoda's friends, the other gopis, approached Mother Yashoda, hearing her pitiful crying. Not seeing Krishna present, they too felt very much aggrieved and joined Mother Yashoda in crying, their eyes full of tears. Bhagavatam 10:7-26. Purport. This attachment of the gopis to Krishna is wonderful and transcendental. The center of all the activities of the gopis was Krishna. When Krishna was there, they were happy, and when Krishna was not there, they were unhappy. Thus, when Mother Yashoda was lamenting Krishna's absence, the other ladies also began to cry.
They couldn't understand why again and again these calamities were happening to Krishna. And because Krishna was the center, you know, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, they were already elderly. And finally, after so many years of austerity and different yagyas, finally by the grace of Narayan, their worshipable Lord, they had a son. But this son was constantly being attacked by demons who Kamsa was sending to kill the children. So the mothers, the other gopis, they were also crying just like Mother Yashoda, because this was the only child Yashoda had. And so many different ways Kamsa was trying to kill this baby. So the mothers were wailing, Yashoda was wailing, and meanwhile, because Krishna had grabbed Trinavarta's neck, Trinavarta couldn't do his whirlwind activities anymore. So the dust began to settle.
You want me to read the what? This will first. Right. Having assumed the form of a forceful whirlwind, the demon Trinavarta took Krishna very high in the sky. But when Krishna became heavier than the demon had to stop his force and could go no further. Bhagavatam 10:7-26. Purport. Here is a competition in yogic power between Krishna and Trinavarta Asura. By practicing mystic yoga, asuras generally attain some perfection in the 8 siddhis or perfections, namely Anima, Lagima, Mahima, Prapti, Prakamya, Ishitva, Vashitva, and Kamava Sayita. But although a demon may acquire such powers to a very limited extent, he cannot compete with the mystic yoga power of Krishna. For Krishna is Yogeshvara, the source of all mystic power. Yatra Yogeshvara Hari, from Bhagavad-Gita 18:76. 78. Okay. And to the left, Anima is the city reducing one's body even to the size of an atom. Lagima, becoming almost weightless. Mahima, expanding one's body to an infinitely large size, also heavier than the heaviest. Prapti, to get anything from anywhere. Prakamya, power as will never be frustrated in any desire. Ishitva, possessing absolute lordship, can create or annihilate anything at will. Vasitva, to control all material elements. Kama vasayita, assume any shape or form one may desire.
So we've already seen some of these mystic siddhis manifest in the previous demons. For instance, Putana, she had this last one, Kama Vasayita, she could assume any shape or form one may desire, so she became a beautiful woman. now Trinavarta, he's assumed the form of a whirlwind, and he's also made himself so light that he can go up in the air with Krishna. But Krishna, because he's Yogeshwara, these are all material siddhis, all contained within the universe. It has nothing to do with spiritual siddhis. None of these. It's all for fulfilling one's material desires by through the process of this mystic siddhi yoga. So these material perfections they're trivial in comparison to the spiritual perfection of a devotee. And therefore, if you have, just like if you have 100 rupees, you also have 10 rupees. So because the devotees have so much spiritual potency, all of these trivial material siddhis are of no interest to the devotees, because they have Krishna, and they have spiritual devotional service, and things that are far beyond the material powers of the mystic yogis.
No one can compete with Krishna. Sometimes, of course, having acquired a fragmental portion of Krishna's mystic power, asuras demonstrate their power to the foolish public and assert themselves to be God, not knowing that God is the supreme Yogeshvara. Here also we see that Trinavarta assumed the Mahima Siddhi and took Krishna away as if Krishna were an ordinary child. But Krishna also became a mystic Mahima Siddha. When Mother Yashoda was carrying him, he became so heavy that his mother, who was usually accustomed to carrying him, could not bear him and had to place him down on the ground. Purport to Bhagavatam 10:7-26.
So of these 6 opulences, as soon as a person who's demoniac by nature gets a little bit of opulence, some wealth, some fame, some beauty, they start to think that they're God. Everyone has these 6 opulences in minute quantity. So there are foolish people who believe that they're actually God, and they present themselves as supreme. And the foolish public, they accept these pretenders to be God. But the Supreme Lord quickly diminishes the power of these rascals by killing them, just like, because that's Krishna's, one of his main occupations here in the material world, to protect the devotees and to annihilate the demons. So there was one great singer, and because he became very famous and very wealthy quickly, so he assumed the position of the Supreme Lord and placed himself in the center of the universal form. And very soon after, Krishna killed him. He killed him he died he choked on his own vomit, and the air couldn't come out of his body, and he died in such an inauspicious manner. So all of these demons who pretend to be God, when they meet the Supreme Lord personally, definitely the Supreme Lord kills them. So here Trinavarta, thinking himself a very powerful demon, he's met the Supreme Lord, he's displayed some of his mystic potencies by this Mahima Siddhi, but Krishna very soon killed him.
Thus Trinavarta had been able to take Krishna away in the presence of Mother Yashoda, but when Krishna, high in the sky, assumed the Mahima Siddhi, the demon, unable to go further, was obliged to stop his force and come down according to Krishna's desire. One should not therefore compete with Krishna's mystic power. Devotees automatically have all mystic power, but they do not like to compete with Krishna. Instead, they fully surrender to Krishna, and their yogic power is demonstrated by Krishna's mercy. Devotees can show mystic yoga so powerful that a demon cannot even dream of it, but they never try to demonstrate it for their personal sense gratification. Purport from Bhagavatam 10:7-26.
So now the demon is being forced to come down. He can't make any noise. He can't even move because Krishna is strangling him with his little 1 year, he's only 1 year old, with those little hands, because Krishna, even in the form of a small child, is still the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's strangling Trinavarta, and now the pleasure ride is over. Krishna wants to come back because he knows that Mother Yasoda is very worried about him. So he's very carefully coming down with Trinavarta. Trinavarta will be smashed to the ground, his eyes will pop out of his head, and Krishna will just be very peacefully playing on either his back or his chest. Both are said.
Whatever they do is for the service of the Lord, and therefore they are always in a position superior to that of the demons. There are many karmis, yogis and jnanis who artificially try to compete with Krishna, and thus ordinary foolish people who do not care to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from authorities consider some rascal yogi to be Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the present moment, there are many so-called Babas who present themselves as incarnations of God by showing some insignificant mystic wonder, and foolish people regard them as God because of lacking knowledge of Krishna. It's from Purport Bhagavatam 10:7-26.
So this is the importance of studying Srimad Bhagavatam, because the scheduled incarnations, when they're going to appear, what their father's name is, where they're going to appear, what they're going to look like, are all fully described in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So any rascal who claims to be Bhagavan, you just ask him, where is it mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that an incarnation of the Lord is going to appear now? And if he can't show you in the Shastra, then don't accept him. They may have some slight mystic opulence, even the demons have these mystic opulences, but that doesn't make them the Supreme Lord. So that is the importance of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. And very cheaply, one cannot accept the Supreme Lord just because someone shows these paltry, material, mystic opulences. He's not mentioned in the Shastra.
Because of
Yeah, the foolish people worship him.
I am also going to there for taking prasad.
Well, now you're going to read Srimad Bhagavatam and you'll know who God really is.
Because of Krishna's weight, Trinavarta considered him to be like a great mountain or a hunk of iron. But because Krishna had caught the demon's neck, the demon was unable to throw him off. He therefore thought of the child as wonderful, since he could neither bear the child nor cast aside the burden. From Bhagavatam 10:7-27. Purport: Trinavarta intended to take Krishna up in the sky and kill him, but Krishna enjoyed the pastime of riding on Trinavarta's body and traveling for a while in the sky. Thus Trinavarta's attempt to kill Krishna failed, while Krishna, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Vigraha, enjoyed his pastime.
So Trinavarta, the personification of false arguments, is now being strangled by the Supreme Lord. Now what does that have to do with us in the 21st century? This happened 5,000 years ago. Krishna, the Supreme Lord, has killed yet another demon, Trinavarta, the whirlwind demon. Because now we have the incarnation of the Supreme Lord in the form of Bhagavat, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So whenever false arguments are presented, which represents Trinavarta, we simply have to defeat and strangle through the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam these false arguments. And if we're not intelligent enough and we don't know Srimad Bhagavatam well enough, then we chant Hare Krishna and that also purifies the whole atmosphere.
Now, since Trinavarta was falling because of Krishna's heaviness, he wanted to save himself by throwing Krishna off from his neck, but was unable to do so because Krishna held him very tightly. Consequently, this would be the last time for Trinavarta's yogic power. Now he was going to die by the arrangement of Krishna. Purport to Bhagavatam 10.7.27.
So when we know Srimad Bhagavatam properly, and we're going through sloka by sloka, every single detail here of the Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna's pastimes, then we can defeat this great demon Trinavarta. It doesn't matter what type of mystic opulences they have, what type of magic they show. If we have knowledge, that knowledge is heavier. That's why Guru means heavy with knowledge. If we have that knowledge of who Krishna actually is, then we can defeat anyone.
Trinavarta felt the baby to be as heavy as a big mountain, and he tried to get out of his clutches but was unable to do so, and his eyes popped out from their sockets. Crying very fiercely, he fell down to the ground of Vrindavan and died. The demon fell exactly like Tripurasura, who was pierced by the arrow of Lord Shiva. He hit the stone ground and his limbs were smashed. His body became visible to all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Krishna Book, Chapter 7.
So his whole body now is smashed. Before, because of the dust and the darkness created by the whirlwind, no one could see Trinavarta because he was within that whirlwind with Krishna. But now that Krishna had strangled him and he lost his capacity to keep the whirlwind going, he fell to the ground, whole body was smashed, eyes popped out, and then all the Brijbasis could see this terrible demon. Again, just like Putana, such a fierce, ugly, frightening form, and there was Krishna playing on his chest.
With Krishna grasping him by the throat, Trinavarta choked, unable to make even a sound or even to move his hands and legs. His eyes popping out, the demon lost his life and fell, along with the little boy, down to the ground of Vraj. While the gopis who had gathered were crying for Krishna, the demon fell from the sky onto a big slab of stone, his limbs dislocated as if he had been pierced by the arrow of Lord Shiva, like Tripurasura. Bhagavatam 10.7.28 and 29. Purport. In transcendental life, as soon as devotees of the Lord merge in lamentation, they immediately experience the Lord's transcendental activities and merge in transcendental bliss. Actually, such devotees are always in transcendental bliss, and such apparent calamities provide a further impetus for that bliss.
Now the greatest lamentation was when Krishna left Braj. But why did he leave Braj? Because all of these disturbances to the happy, peaceful, and spiritual life of Braj were coming from Mathura. So in order to stop these disturbances to the residents of Vrindavan, he had to go to the source of that disturbance, which was Kamsa. But it didn't stop at Kamsa, because Kamsa had many alliances with other great demons. So in Braj, Kamsa was sending one demon after another to kill Krishna. Finally, Krishna had to leave Braj to kill Kamsa, and then he had to finish off the killing of many, many other demons. And he couldn't return to Braj until all of the demons were killed, because if any of them remained and Krishna came back to Braj, again they would come to Braj and disturb the peaceful life there. So he promised all the residents that I'm just going to Mathura to see Kamsa, and as soon as all the demons are killed, I'll come back. So that's exactly what Krishna did. So this lamentation, worrying about Krishna, feeling separation from Krishna, fear that Krishna's life is in danger, this increases our love for Krishna. But at the same time, Krishna, he never lets the devotees down. He promised he would come back, and after all the demons had been killed, he definitely came back to Braj and then took all of the devotees back to the spiritual world.
When the gopis saw the demon killed and child Krishna very happily playing on his body, they immediately picked Krishna up with great affection. The cowherd men and women became very happy to get back their beloved child Krishna. At that time, they began to talk about how wonderful it was that the demon took away the child to devour him, but could not do so. Instead, he fell down dead. Some of them supported the situation. Krishna Book, Chapter 7.
So all of the cowherd men and cowherd women, of course, were pure devotees of the Lord. And when their very life was taken away by Trinavarta, it was as if they lost their life. They were so concerned looking for him. Where did he go? Where could a little baby disappear to? So when Krishna finally came down with Trinavarta, it was as if their life came back to them. And just as they had done again and again now, they immediately wanted to have a wonderful ceremony and perform many pious activities to protect the little child Krishna, who somehow or other was always being attacked by these horrible demons.
And this is them. They said, this is the residents of Vrindavan are saying this, right?
Yes.
Okay. The residents of Vrindavan are saying, this is proper because those who are too sinful die from their sinful reactions, and child Krishna is pious. Therefore he is saved from all kinds of fearful situations. And we too must have performed great sacrifices in our previous lives, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, giving great wealth and charity, and acting philanthropically for the general welfare of men. Because of such pious activities, the child is saved from all danger. Krishna Book, Chapter 7.
So when Krishna was found sitting on the body of Trinavarta, the gopis who were nearby, they immediately picked him up and put him into the arms of Mother Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda, she was thinking, this little child, so many demons have tried to kill him now, but I have to perform many more pious activities, I have to feed more Brahmins, I have to do more auspicious activities simply for the protection of my son. And the Brijbasis, they were thinking that this child was saved because we performed so many pious activities, and therefore the fact that Krishna was saved once again from the demon being killed, it was an impetus for them to do more pious activities.
The gopis immediately picked Krishna up from the chest of the demon and delivered him, free from all inauspiciousness, to Mother Yashoda. Because the child, although taken into the sky by the demon, was unhurt and now free from all danger and misfortune, the gopis and cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, were extremely happy. Bhagavatam 10:7-30.
So the cowherd men and the cowherd women, because they all have a particular rasa with Krishna, and this rasa is being intensified, this love and this attachment is being intensified by Krishna's activities. Because every time when Putana came, when Shakadasura came, now Trinavarta had come, they're put into so much anxiety about baby Krishna. And then each time when he kills the demon, although they don't understand that it's Krishna who's killing the demon, but when his life is saved, they're so happy to have him back again. And this just increases. It's an impetus that their love increases for Krishna every time there's a calamity with him.
The demon fell flat from the sky, and Krishna was playing on his chest very happily, uninjured and free from misfortune, not at all disturbed because of being taken high in the sky by the demon. Krishna was playing and enjoying. This is Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Vigraha. In any condition, Krishna is Satchidananda Vigraha. Brahma Samhita 5.1. He has no unhappiness. Others might have thought that he was in difficulty, but because the demon's chest was sufficiently broad to play on, the baby was happy in all respects. It was most astonishing that although the demon went so high in the sky, the child did not fall down. Therefore the child had been saved virtually from the mouth of death. Now that he was saved, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan were happy. Purport 10.730.
So these demons, they're all Rakshasas. Rakshasas eat little children. So Putana, Trinavarta, the Brijbasis understood that these demons were taking this little child away for the purpose of eating him. But Krishna, with his mystic potencies, he was able to defeat the demons and at the same time enjoy himself. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Vigraha. So that's Krishna. While the Brijbasis are so worried about him, he's enjoying different pastimes. He's sucking the milk of Putana. He's made her into one of his nurses because she offered her breast milk to him. Now, Trinavarta, he's liberating one of his devotees from his previous birth because an offense that he had committed. Same time, he's having a nice sky ride. So we can't understand what's in Krishna's mind. All we can do is pray that he's for his safety, and we can, just as the Brijbasis were thinking here, we have to perform many pious activities, give a lot of charity, do a lot of public work, and all of the fruits that we get from this will be to protect this little child Krishna.
It is most astonishing that although this innocent child was taken away by the Rakshasa to be eaten, he has returned without having been killed or even injured. Because this demon was envious, cruel, and sinful, he has been killed for his own sinful activities. This is the law of nature. An innocent devotee is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and a sinful person is always vanquished for his sinful life. Bhagavatam 10.7.31.
So these particular demons that Krishna is killing, yes, they're very sinful in this lifetime. They're great, powerful demons. But because Krishna is equal to everyone, when the demons approach him, he awards them with liberation. So that's the wonderful aspect of Sri Krishna. Anyone, we heard previously the Sukadev Goswami, Kam, Krodh, Bhai, or Sneha. If anyone approaches the Lord even out of Kam or Krodh, they also become purified. So Trinavarta, due to the instructions of Kamsa, he came to kill Krishna, but he himself was liberated and attained the supreme abode.
Krishna conscious life means innocent devotional life, and a sadhu is one who is fully devoted to Krishna, as confirmed by Krishna in the Bhagavad-Gita 9.30, Bhajate mam ananya bhak sadho eva samantavya. Anyone fully attached to Krishna is a sadhu. Nanda Maharaj and the gopis and other cowherd men could not understand that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead playing as a human child, and that his life was not in danger under any circumstances. Rather, because of their intense parental love for Krishna, they thought that Krishna was an innocent child and had been saved by the Supreme Lord. purport to Bhagavatam 10:7-31. And the Bhagavad-Gita verse quoted above, Abhichit sudurasharo bhajate mam ananyabhak sado evas mantavya samyag vyavasito hisaha. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. Bhagavad Gita 9:30.
So this particular sloka from Bhagavad Gita, this doesn't give us license to engage in the most abominable actions just because we've taken to Krishna consciousness. No, we have to be very, very careful. Just as yesterday we heard that at the time of initiation, that's the beginning of our spiritual life, when the spiritual master accepts us. And then, because we've been given the Gayatri mantra and we're supposed to be on the platform of Vaishnava Brahman, we have to be very careful that our activities are actually on that platform. If by accident or involuntarily some misdeed is committed, we're still considered sadhu because it wasn't done intentionally. But at no time are we given license to engage in abominable actions or sinful activities simply because we rubber stamp ourselves as devotee. Devotee means devotional service. And devotional service means we have to follow the four regulative principles very carefully and chant Hare Krishna and always be engaged in spreading the holy name all over the world to help others become devotees.
In the material world, because of intense lust and desire for enjoyment, one becomes implicated in sinful life more and more. Kama esha kruta esha rajaguna samudbhavaha. Therefore, the quality of fear is one of the aspects of material life. Ahara nedra bhaya maitunam cha. But if one becomes Krishna conscious, the process of devotional service, Shravanam Kirtanam, Bhagavatam 7.5.23, diminishes one's polluted life of material existence, and one is purified and protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana, Bhagavatam 1.2.17. In devotional life, one has faith in this process. Such faith is one of the 6 kinds of surrender. It's from purport to Bhagavatam 10.7.31. And Bhagavatam 1.2.17, translation, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted.
So we have the example of the 6 Goswamis. They were able to give up these 4 animalistic activities of eating, sleeping, mating, and fearing, this bhaya. So in material life, we're engaged in kama, or sense gratification. But by hearing the message of the Supreme Lord in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, these desires for material sense gratification are diminished. And therefore, regularly, we're supposed to be hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and that way we develop a desire to free ourselves from this material world and return to the spiritual world and enjoy with Krishna. So we'll continue tomorrow. Hare Krishna.